Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Jay Wheatley, and my friend and co-host, Zoe Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here again with another episode. And this week we're talking about beliefs. And there's a couple of reasons why we're talking about beliefs. One is because we were reviewing our podcast list of many, many episodes and thinking, how did we get this far without ever really doing an episode dedicated to beliefs? So that's the main reason. The second reason, of course, is because beliefs are such an important part of the coaching experience, and they sit in a pillar, if you like, along with values, which we've done many episodes on. So you have beliefs, you have goals, which we've done a lot of episodes on, and we've got emotions, which we've also talked about because we have developed our emotions coaching practitioner training. So beliefs feels like we haven't given it the love and attention that it deserves. So that's what we are bringing to you today.
I love beliefs. For me, it is the transformational part of coaching. And we have lots of different types of beliefs. So we have beliefs about what we believe is or isn't possible. We have beliefs about what we think we are or aren't capable of. And we also have beliefs linked to our worth. So you might think of those as three different buckets. So in life, we have positive beliefs that enable us to achieve all the brilliant things that we do. And we also have some limiting beliefs that get in the way for us, either of us achieving what we want to, or our enjoyment of what we achieve, which can be equally limiting. So I often think about those as like in the old fashioned, when you got married and you'd have like cans hanging at the back of the car, they'll make that noise, they're irritating. You can still move forward, but you really just like to cut them off.
And the thing around beliefs is, of course, they're largely unconscious. So, you know, when back in the days when I hadn't done any coaching work, I didn't know I was carrying around like unhelpful beliefs with me. I didn't even know what a belief was. So how are you going to change something if you don't know what it is in the first place? And so the thing with coaching is not only does it introduce you to what the beliefs are that hold you back, it introduces you to this whole new concept that you even have beliefs. And it's often the starting point of transition and change for people as they're able to connect with this concept of, right, so you're telling me that what I believe actually influences the results that I get. I'm like, yes, wow. Because beliefs can obviously be empowering. And to give you an example, an empowering belief would be, I can achieve whatever I put my mind to. So if you can imagine going through life with that belief in your closet, if you kind of see an opportunity and you think, oh, that would be really exciting, you're going to put yourself forward for it because you believe that if you put your mind to it, you can achieve whatever you want to. But you might have a belief that that a certain level of success isn't for you. And you may not even be aware that you have this belief because beliefs are formed in our childhood and through our lived experiences. So if you hold that belief that a certain level of success isn't for me, you might get to a point in your career and you might look at it's sort of a next level, if you like, of a promotion, but you might internally just feel the resistance to wanting to go forward for that promotion, or you might get overlooked several times for a promotion. And that's often because your belief is there activating it, so you aren't taking the steps and doing the behavior that is going to help you to move forward, because we act as if our beliefs are true. And so there's such a fundamental part of coaching, and becoming aware of them is the first place, because you can't change what you can't see. And so coaches help you to first see what might be in your way, but also what's empowering you, and then help you to make choices around what you want to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the examples are really helpful for people to be able to relate to. So if we think about a few more of those, so examples of limiting beliefs could be things like having a deep down belief, which is I am selfish, or I am not important, or I will always be lonely, I don't belong. So there's lots and lots of things that, as Zoe said, we may not be aware of, but when you have a coaching conversation with a coach, through those conversations, and maybe also in the pre-coaching questionnaire, if you complete one, you might start to notice, or through the language that you use, and you may do a piece of work around beliefs, and doing a belief change piece of work. And that's the great thing about beliefs, is you can actually change them. So first of all, first step is awareness. So learning about what your belief system is and how that is or isn't serving you. So doing some sort of spring clean. Then it's about actually knowing that you can choose them. So what would you like to choose to believe? And a coach can support you to do this work so that it sets you up to achieve what you want to achieve in the way that you want to achieve it. Some examples of empowering beliefs that could be useful to you are things like, I am powerful, I am equal, I am valuable, I'm capable, I am lovable. And just notice, as you heard me say those beliefs, did you have any limiting beliefs that popped up in response to them? So for example, I am powerful. Often clients will have an almost allergic reaction to that, like with negative connotations about it. So often, underneath the belief, there'll be another belief, and under that belief, there will be another belief. And that's where we really get down into the really interesting nature of supporting coaching clients to release those beliefs that are holding them back. Now, those beliefs were created at a point in time, often to protect the client. But obviously our lives change, and we develop more knowledge, more skills, more support, all sorts of things to help us. So that belief that was created whenever it was created may no longer be needed in the here and now. But the more we exercise our beliefs, they're like muscles, the stronger they get. So coaching can be really critical and useful as a support to help people to develop the belief system that is going to support them to design and achieve the life that they want to.
I don't think I've met a human being on this planet that doesn't have the belief of I'm not good enough in some shape or form. And how it presents itself to the outside world will look very different from person to person. But in coaching, when you come down to it, all of us have, to some extent, a level of I'm not good enough. Sometimes that is more active than others. So let's say, for example, you're in a really challenging phase at work, lots of moving goalposts, projects coming out of your ears, maybe some family pressures as well. That can really flare up this belief of I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not working hard enough. I'm missing deadlines. I can't cope. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. At other times, when work is going really well and you're on top of your deadlines and your projects, and you're really motivated, with what you're doing, that belief can just lay quietly in the background, not really bothering you too much, until perhaps you go and play a game of sport on the weekend and your team loses, and you just have a real kind of like, I'm not good enough, and it may not come out like that, but these little niggles that can be there in the background, ultimately they're crushing your potential. That's how I sort of see them. They're like the hidden gremlins that squash your potential. And whether you completely eradicate unhelpful and limiting beliefs through the work that you do as coaching, I don't know. I think sometimes you do. There are some definitely that I shed, others which are more kind of tightly held. But what you're able to do is to really notice when the beliefs are coming up. So when you're in automatic thinking and automatic behaviors, as opposed to being able to be at choice. And so as you move through your life, let's say you do some work in coaching on understanding, you have this belief of I'm not good enough, and you understand, actually, I don't want that because it's not serving me, it's not helpful, and the behaviors that belief generates don't support me with my vision for the future. Then when you find yourself in a challenging phase again, be it through work or life, and you start to notice those same niggles, you can pause, catch your breath and think, oh, hang on, is this actually the most helpful mindset to me right now? How do I want to be? How would I rather experience this? And you can start to make some choices. So, belief work, yes, it's about change. It's about challenge. Fundamentally, it's about choice. And how do you want to create and experience your world, and not just be on autopilot all of the time?
Another really interesting area related to beliefs is what we call parts. So this is a concept that comes from neuro-linguistic programming. And I remember when I was training to be a coach, we were doing some work around beliefs, and it was really clear to me that I would be able to say, yes, part of me is really confident. I feel confident in these areas of my life. And then part of me does not identify at all with confidence. So I would consider myself to be not confident. And this also shows up with clients where they might say, I'm just not a confident person. That's a complete blanket kind of belief they put over themselves. But when you start to break that down and say, well, do you feel confident to brush your teeth? Yes. Do you feel confident to drive the car? Yes. Okay, so what area do you not feel confident in? And then they're able to say, well, actually, it's this when I'm, when I'm submitting a report, or when I've got to run a team meeting, or whatever the example is, or having a difficult conversation. Coaching has really helped me to overcome that limiting belief of I am not confident. I don't hold that anymore. I enjoy being able to be wholly in a space of I have confidence, I can access confidence, and even just exploring my beliefs about confidence as a thing. What did I believe it was then? What do I believe it is now? And it's enabled me to take more risks, or maybe what I would consider to be risks in my career, in the things that we do in our business, even like, a podcast, the book, YouTube channel, that unconfident, the piece of me that had a belief that I was not confident would not have done those things. And that's evidence in itself of the change work that I have done with the support of a coach. So when you have two parts, or that inner conflict, that may be an indication to you that there is two beliefs or more that are in conflict. And that's the work that you can do in coaching.
There's a couple of beliefs that I have been fundamental to my growth. So there was one where I didn't even know I had this belief. It was a belief of I'm not normal. Don't really know where it came from. I remember feeling pretty socially awkward as a child growing up, but there's no real event that created that belief. But it was obviously something that I developed over time, because when I discovered it, it was so freeing to be like, well, that's not true. Like I could feel that I had that belief, but just being able to look at it and see it, I was able to let go of it. So that was a really rapid change for me. And another one was a belief around I'm lazy. Now I know where that came from. I love my sleep. And I grew up with my mom and my sister predominantly in our house. And there was always comments around me being lazy. I don't blame them for it. Like it was only in jest and in fun and meant with love. But then when I was not getting perhaps the results that I wanted or the success that I wanted, that belief would come out in my inner critic and be like, oh, it's just because you're lazy. You need to work harder. But actually, when I looked at it, I'm working all the hours that I had available for what I wanted to achieve at the time. And so that one for me, when I was able to look at that and be like, no, actually, I'm not lazy. I know how to switch off. I know how to relax. I know what my body needs. I know what my mind needs. Now, if that looks lazy to others, that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. And again, that was an easy one for me to unlock and release and let go of. And it's quite funny because just on the weekend, my kids were saying to me, oh, mummy, you're so lazy. You lay in on the weekend. I think I lay in till about 8:30, 9 o'clock some mornings. And then my other one was like, actually, maybe it's because we get up so early, sort of, they get up at like 6. But I was able, previously that would have bothered me. Whereas today I'm like, that's okay. Like if I need to sleep, then I'm going to let my body rest. And I'm grateful to be able to have a husband who enjoys getting up earlier than what I do. But I think what I'm saying here is some beliefs will be actually easy. When you see them, they're easy to let go of because they don't feel like they belong with you anymore. And then there are others which may take a little bit longer, and that's absolutely fine. And also it's just about being able to update what's in your software system so that it matches the life that you want today. And you're not just continuing with thoughts and well-trodden paths that actually no longer serve you. And you'll notice beliefs, maybe not in the language that we're using, but you're likely to notice them in your behavior. So beliefs are often when you get triggered by something, where you get an anger reaction or a frustration reaction, or you're deeply upset by something that somebody says. And someone once said to me, like, if somebody was to call you a green-faced alien, like it just wouldn't hit you, because you'd be like, well, I'm not a green-faced alien, so not that bothered. Whereas if somebody was to have said to me, oh, you're so lazy, I would have instantly felt that. And so that is often a sign that there is a belief in there somewhere, is when you experience that instant automatic trigger that feels like you have no control over.
We talk about this as well, don't we, when it comes to recognition? So that recognition for being and recognition for doing. And sometimes you might get a negative piece of recognition for doing that can be misinterpreted as negative recognition for being. So, for example, if you think about the not being good enough, or often I just refer to it as just not enough in some way. It may be not good enough, it could be another element of enough. But if let's say you came home, your partner had cooked a meal for you, and you then said, oh, are we not having X? And then they're like, well, no, what have I, is this not right then? That triggering is an indicator that there's something happening for them that probably is totally unrelated to you. So that when we take things over personally, that can be an indicator to us to explore what our beliefs are. So it's so liberating when you think, wow, so I could choose my belief system. And if I were to do that, what impact would that have for me? Well, it means that you can create the life that you want. Now, the flip side of it is that if, like us, you're coach trainers and you talk about coaching stuff with your family or just generally, then whenever you say anything, they're likely to say to you, oh, mummy, this is my children. Oh, mummy, is that a fact or is that a limiting belief? So you will have these things reflected back to you. And of course, sometimes you don't have the energy to even engage in the fact that, okay, yes, maybe this is a limiting belief and I could do something about it. You're actually just like, do you know what? I'm quite comfortable sitting with my limiting belief over here and living with that. So it also isn't the case that you need to do endless amounts of work, and you can't ever just be human and, and exist in that. But if you've got a particular goal that you want to work on, or maybe your experience of life at the moment from an emotions perspective isn't what you would like it to be, I think it's important to know that you can do that work. And if you're somebody that feels like you love helping people, and you can identify in lots of the conversations you have with people that maybe there are some limiting beliefs that are holding them back, and you'd like to equip yourself with tools and resources to be able to support them to change that, and to identify and lean more into all the benefits of creating positive and empowering beliefs for themselves, then we absolutely can support you with those tools on our training programs.
Yeah, I think it's really important what you say there. We don't have to change or fix every single limiting belief that we've got. I think sometimes it's enough to recognize that we tell ourselves stories that aren't helpful. I can remember as we went on this journey, even just the podcasting journey, we were petrified of releasing those first podcasts, and telling ourselves all sorts of different stories. I know for me, the old gremlins of what are people going to think, and what if nobody likes it, and what if people think that you've not really got anything interesting to say. Like, were they beliefs? Yes, some of them, but they were lightly held beliefs that came from something else. And I was able to recognize this nonsense. Like, it's just a story that I'm telling myself. And yeah, there's a reason I'm telling myself it is probably for self-protection. But I could let it go. Like, they became just thoughts that came into my head and came out of my head. I didn't have to hold on to them. And I think even just educating your clients that beliefs are things that exist, it just helps you to free up. Oh, so not every thought has to be something that you own. Like, you can just, they don't like them, like, you can let them go. and invite in more helpful and healthy and empowering thoughts. And of course, then there's a relationship between the thoughts that we have, the feelings that we generate, and the action that we take, which is supported in the middle with our beliefs. So the more empowering beliefs that we hold about ourselves, the more helpful our thoughts will be, the better we'll experience our emotions, and the more productive action we will take. You don't necessarily have to change beliefs in order to create that. You can just help to install new beliefs. So if you have a strongly held belief around being not enough, for example, you don't necessarily have to work on fixing the not enoughness. We don't believe in fixing, that's a kind of a rescuing term. Instead, you could install new beliefs around, well, what would you rather? So notice that one is there, and that's fine, and you can kind of live with that. But let's kind of overrun it with some new empowering beliefs, and installing things such as, I always try my best, or I am loved no matter what. You can just put in place empowering beliefs and really work on those. And to some of you listening to this, you might be thinking, that sounds a bit therapeutical. And I think we've said this on a previous podcast. Joe and I used to freak out when clients would say, oh, this feels like therapy. And actually, it's okay. If clients experience your coaching to be therapeutical, that's okay. You're not delving into the past. You're not going into the story. You're helping your client in the here and now to achieve something that they want to achieve. Like, context is everything. So if you have a limiting belief that is getting in the way of you getting a promotion, or fully enjoying your work, or going through a career transition, and you need to develop some new empowering beliefs in order for you to achieve those goals, crack on. That is exactly what we do in coaching.
And one of the is it simple or not? Well, one of the things that you can do if you've got a limiting belief, maybe it's something you're already aware of, is to think about, what does that get for me that is positive, despite the fact that it limits me in a number of ways. When you can identify what it gets you, you then need to make sure that your new belief satisfies that same thing that is valuable to you, without you having all of the negative aspects to it. And if it does, your unconscious mind will embed that. It will take that on because it's still meeting that need. So have a think about, what does my limiting belief get for me that's positive? And how could I achieve, what belief would also get that for me, but also release me from those negative aspects? And if you're a manager or a leader and you've got a team, simple questions that you can ask them, when they're about to go off and do a particular activity, is to say, what do you need to believe in order to achieve this in the way that you want to? What support do you need in order to be able to engage in that belief? And just simple questions like that can just help them to align their mindset. You can ask them, as Zoe was talking about the other pillars, how will achieving this goal, believing that, support you or honor your values? They might have a value around achievement, or they might have a value around connection, etc., etc. So we're linking the values, the beliefs, the goals, and the emotions. And when you have that alignment, there really is nothing to stop you from achieving what you want to achieve.
So you can probably tell that we could talk for hours and hours and hours, and regularly Joe and I do talk for hours and hours about this stuff. But we are sure you want to go about your day. So tune in for another podcast next week. And if you are enjoying our podcast, please do take a moment to subscribe and rate and review our podcast. It means a lot to us when our listeners take the time to do that. So thank you for that.
And if you are interested in learning more about changing beliefs, then come and take our quiz at mycoachingcourse.com, and that will be able to recommend for you the right level of coaching course for you.